everybody, and welcome back, finally, after 836 days, to another Thai Talk. Yes, it has been a very long time since I filmed the episode. It's been over 2 years at this point, and I am excited to be back. Really, y'all know sometimes I can be a perfectionist. So I got some notes, really just some light notes about stuff that I don't watch, but I really wanted to get on here and just to get something out there. So just to get an episode out there. So this may not be the cleanest episode that I've ever done, but I needed to get back on the bike or jump out there again just to get it started. And that's what today is, okay? So first, I think what I do owe to, my small amount of listeners and viewers is kind of like what had me here. Why has it been over 830 something days since I did an episode? And it really all goes back to 2021. So I began Thai Talks in I think 2019 when I had first moved to Charlotte. I think some of my first episodes was about Endgame and the final season of Game of Thrones. And I wouldn't say that I was like chugging out content every week or anything like that, but I definitely was way more consistent back then with putting out material and videos, reviewing episodes of Game of Thrones. I think sometimes I did some weekly recaps of stuff that I had like watched in that week, of like the last season of the original Power or Queen Sugar. And then, during the pandemic, I was recapping the MCU Disney Plus shows and those type of things, right? So I was doing things a lot more consistently. But in fall 2021, after I had sat home during the pandemic, I got the bright idea to take my ass back to school. And so I actually enrolled in a PhD program, and I just finished that this year. So I defended my dissertation in March, and then I crossed and walked the stage back in May. And really, that was kind of what slowly but surely made my production of content lessen, and eventually what led to me like walking away from making videos at all. I've definitely been, if you follow me on Twitter, you still hear my live tweets on shows and movies and in the moment thoughts as I'm watching things, but I hadn't really brought people back together for a video in a very long time. As I was getting ready to film this, I went back and seen actually my last episode, Thai Talks episode, was April 14th, 2024. And so, throughout my time while I was in school, I did some different things to try to help me with production. I think I had came up with this idea of Thai Talks 3 takes, where I give 3 takes on something, so it could be a very short term episode. I did some different things where maybe they were more longer format, but I took a little while to do them. So I think I had me and one of my good friends, Megan, recapped Queen Sugar before the 6th season, I think. That was new. She was my first guest. I did a trailer review. I did something different. And then I had eventually, near the end, switched to doing podcast only. And that was audio only, so that was definitely different as well. Because, when I first started out, I used to do videos and have clips and all of that over here. But, I was trying to do things to switch it up. It had at this point, Spotify for podcasters doesn't even operate the same anymore. So that's how long it's really been since I've been on here. But I'm happy to be back, and I just wanted to like dive in and give y'all some content. And so my thought process for today, and I know y'all hear my birds. Hell, I don't even know if I had birds. Um, I definitely didn't have birds at first when I first started Ty Talks. And they probably was a lot less quiet. The few things I did after I got them. But today, what I really wanted to kind of just like focus on was simply is kind of catch y'all up on what I've been watching since I defended my dissertation back in March. Um, as I was creeping up on time of, kind of getting the zone to get that thing done so that I could graduate this year, I did something I don't normally do, and I just shut TV off. I didn't allow myself to get into things, and so I think around that end of October, beginning of November time, the only thing I really allowed myself to watch was this Food Network show, The Great Holiday Baking Championship. And I watched that because it was something I could come in, I could sit down like while I'm eating, maybe watch a few minutes of it, and then no matter where I was in the episode, I would pause it and get up, and I could come back to my laptop and do some work. And so, I didn't allow myself to watch a lot of stuff, and I held off. On a lot of shows to wait for me to finish. And so as soon as I defended my dissertation that day, I took myself out to eat, and I came back and dived right into my list of shows. And so what I'm going to do today in this episode is really kind of just walk us through those episodes or those shows and movies that I've kind of like focused on since March. Give y'all some quick thoughts on them. And then, near the end, I kind of talk to y'all about what I hope my plans will be moving forward for Ty Talks as we start trying to get back out there and producing some more content more consistently, all right? So, let's dive into some of these TV shows that I watched when I came back. Really, one of the first ones I dived into, and one of the ones that I was most excited about trying to check out, was season 3 of Reasonable Doubt. So I don't know if any of you watch Reasonable Doubt, but it is a show on Hulu about a black lawyer, Jax, and kind of I know when it's the first season, they really kind of like placed her in like this legacy of black powerful women lawyers on TV, like Maxine Shaw or Molly from Insecure, or Claire from The Cosby Show, Joan from Girlfriends, Terry from Soul Food. They really kind of like centered her into that. Jessica from Suits. Don't let me forget about Jessica. And so I was one when the first season came out. I don't even think I was that kind of like in tune with it. I watched it, but I didn't enjoy it that much. And then the second season was really when things turned for me. I really enjoyed the second season. I enjoyed the storyline that they went to. And so I had been ready for the third season, not sure how it was going to go, because I was like, it's going to be hard to live up to that, to the second season that they had. But that night, after I defended my dissertation, I came home after dinner, cut on Reasonable Doubt, and thoroughly enjoyed it. I watched it in that weekend. I think I defended my dissertation on a Thursday. By the time I went back to work Monday, or I think I went back on campus Tuesday, I was finished with that show, with that season. I think season 3 of Reasonable Doubt was incredible. I thought it was going to be hard to top the story of season 2. I'm not going to go into too many spoilers with it, just in case there's people that haven't watched it and may be interested in Reasonable Doubt. But I thoroughly enjoyed season 3. I think my kind of consensus with watching this show is shockingly, I feel like it has gotten better every season. Um, this season had some guest stars, and I think particularly one of the standouts to me was the young man. I believe his name is Cal Berry. He played Ozzy, like the former child star um, actor that Jax was defending this season for the major case of the season, and it was a really good season. So shout out to the Reasonable Doubt crew. I already think they are already in production or for season 4. I'm not sure where they are in that, but something else that I had waited on watching was the final season of Stranger Things. After years of being on a break, we were happy to finally get the conclusion to the Stranger Things series. I think it was pretty decently done. I think in terms of it was a satisfying ending, kind of what I expected. And the reason I wouldn't say it was an excellent ending. I think it was a reasonable and pleasant ending, but not an amazing ending. And I think one of the reasons is something that has been a gripe of mine with Stranger Things for many years since earlier seasons is it isn't for a show that has so much death. For a show that has so much death, there's no death for the main characters. Like every main character that has been in this show from season 1 is still alive when this show ends. And people die every episode almost, but none of the main characters have ever died. They might have brought in, and I'm going more spoilery with Stranger Things because I feel like if you're interested in Stranger Things, you have watched it by now. But they had no problem bringing somebody in that was an important character for that season and killing them. I think of I'm terrible with names, but I think of Max's brother in season 2. I believe is when his character died, season 2 or season 3, whenever he was taking over. Or I think of I guess it had been that last season where they brought in the kid that was like friends with Dustin, and he ended up dying that season. Like they have no problem with bringing the character in for that season, making them important to that season's arc, and then having something tragic happen to them by the end. But in terms of the main characters, none of them have ever passed away. And I think for me, when it got to the point of like, oh, this is obviously harming the impact of the show to me was after they killed Hopper in season 3, or made it seem like Hopper died in season 3, and then they brought him right back in season 4. Kind of really undermined a lot of the stakes that they had built up, and I think they continued to just undermine their stakes in season 5. Still an enjoyable show. I think there was some good moments. It was nice seeing Will be able to like tap into himself as like, Will and his mom. That is, for me, that was the storyline in the story thread in the first season that captured me. Like when my birds are going wild right now. I'm sorry, but when he's actually only one bird right now, so sky's off the chain right now. But I think I always remember from season 1 there's like this scene when Will's mom. I can't even think of her character's name right now, but she's like Joyce. Joyce, that's her name. Joyce is like holding the Christmas lights, and she's like talking. Will is talking to her through the Christmas lights. That was the scene that got me, that like hooked me into the show, right? And so it was nice to see this little boy who was scared and gone for most of the first season and kind of like live in a lot of fear, kind of have his moments in season 5 and kind of like overcome that fear. And yeah, I think the ending was I appreciate the ending, enjoyed watching it, but again, my final thoughts would be it's a show that don't have a lot of stakes. It continuously undermines its own stakes. Even with the ending, I think it did it again, which is cute, right? Because you want 11 to be able to go off and have her own happy ending, and it was like a nice little bow the way they was able to tie it up with the Dungeons of Dragon like storyline plots. That was an emotional beat for all those characters, but it just undermined what all they did. But Stranger Things final season was up on that, was something that I definitely caught up with after my dissertation. I think another show that I was waiting for was season 4 of The Morning Show. So I began watching The Morning Show the last few years. I mean, maybe since my last Talk Talks episode, but I love Nicole Beharie, and so when I started seeing promotion that Nicole Beharie was going to be in season 3 of The Morning Show, it made me go watch the other seasons of The Morning Show so that I can be there, catch up so I can watch Nicole Beharie do her thing. And I've enjoyed The Morning Show. I think it's an incredible show. Second season is probably the worst season to me. I thought the first season was amazing. And then I felt like by the time I got to the third season, it was worth it. Like, it was worth working my way up to see that season and see Nicole Beharie's. I can't think of her character's name right now. But yeah, it was great to watch that happen, and I think particularly this season, there's one particular line that I'm blanking on these characters' names. There was one particular line that was said to Stella. So Stella's Greta Lee's character, I believe, and there was a particular line. I'm gonna look it up so that I don't fuck this up. But yes, Mia, played by Karen Pittman. There was this line that she said to Stella, played by Greta Lee.
This decision was, oh my God, it was so hard. It was the hardest decision right now.
I'm so sorry that it was so very, very hard for you, Stella. It must be difficult to get to make all the choices and have to feel bad about them afterwards without it touching your actual fucking life.
That's just like, that shit blew my mind. And, it was very relatable to some of my own work shit right now in the last couple of years. But I just thought that was an amazing line. And I think season 4 of The Morning Show was a great season. Looking forward to see what they try to do next. I thought it was interesting how they brought in AI. And I'm someone who I'm not for the use of AI anyway. Particularly, I just think it gets used with so much dumb stuff, um, and just this impact on the environment, and things like that. But uh, season 4 of the morning show, very well done, very well done. And while I'm on Apple TV, because you know the joke about Apple TV is that they have all these incredible shows, but nobody knows about them. I'm gonna go to another Apple TV show that I watch, Imperfect Woman, and it was a very disappointing show to me. I felt like Imperfect Woman, the longer I watched it, the worse it got. The worse the show got, the farther we got into the season. And I think one of the main things I talked about was like, as you're supposed to be reaching the climax of this show, the pinnacle of this show, you it gets more boring. Like, it just wasn't good at the end. I think it dragged some. It got very stale. I feel like Kerry Washington's character was the most. Kerry Washington's character and Kate Mara's character. So Eleanor and Nancy. Eleanor was played by Kerry Washington, and Nancy was played by Kate Mara. They were by far the most interesting characters in the show, and I understand how Mary's character tied into like what happened at the end when you find out who actually did this, but it was just Mary was not a good character for the story to like finish on. So I started with some episodes focused on Kerry Washington's character, then it went to Kate Mara's character. It's just I don't know. The show just got incredibly stale the longer it went, and by the end, I was just ready for the show to end. So it would be nowhere near my favorite shows in this list of watching that I've done. And I think that leads me to a show that was pretty similar in doing something like that called The Burrows that was on Netflix. It was about this. The Burrows is about this like elderly retirement neighborhood that's like out in the middle of the desert, but apparently there's like this weird type of sci-fi thing going. It's like killing people, killing these older people so that they can drain and so that these other people can stay young. And it's just like, it had such an interesting premise at first, and then it was like the longer the show went, the more boring and stale the show got. And so, you know, I supported Africa Wizard the whole time because I did watch the whole season, but by the end I was like, the show's kind of not giving. I think I can go kind of move into some more recent stuff. I'm gonna do some more recent shows that I watched, and then I'll finish today's episode talking about some of the movies that I watched recently that I really enjoyed. So if I go to some more recent shows, I will talk about this new show that I recently watched, probably like the last week, called Ride or Die on Amazon. Ride or Die stars Ride or Die stars Hannah Waddingham, Octavia Spencer, and Ed Skrein. I think that's how you say Ed's last name. Very interesting show where, you know, like these 50-year-old women and one of them finds out that her best friend has been a secret assassin all these years. All these years, they've been friends for like 25 years, and so they had like this secret. She's been a secret assassin this whole time, and I think to me the show is interesting because it kind of like really dived into these themes of friendship and identity and who are you after when you're not what you do. Um, when you're not what you do. So I think it was a very interesting show. I think it had notes of comedy. I laughed throughout it. It had action moments. It gave you emotional moments. It really kind of hit, a lot of the elements. Really, um, yeah, and like I said, really that commentary on the themes of friendship, your life purpose, and kind of like what's your identity outside of what you do. I think um, check it out on Amazon. It's something. It's not something that I would normally watch, but I'm glad I watched it. I enjoyed it, and I would definitely be down and interested in watching a season 2 of that. Some other stuff that I watched recently was finishing up the second season of Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix, so the live action version. And I'll just say I did not enjoy season 2 as much as I enjoyed season 1. It was nice to see the characters be a little bit older. Um, I don't know. It just felt. I felt like they didn't demonstrate, and I don't know if it was like for budget reasons or something, but they didn't demonstrate the bending in as cool of a way as they did in season 1. And so I think that was one of the most disappointing parts. Is just like have some more scenes with some amazing bending. It's the Avatar. It's about bending the elements. So show me some cool bending scenes. But to stay on that Avatar route, I watched Avatar: Aang, The Last Airbender movie last night, and for one, I'm happy that when that leak happened back in like April, that I didn't jump on it because I was like, no, I don't want to watch this on my phone. I want to like see it on the TV. And so I did, even though I had watched the first scene and then I stopped myself. But I enjoyed this show. I think I enjoyed this movie. I think it gives you more. It was nice to see like Aang is older. I think that's one of the reasons why I know Korra gets a lot of hate, but I think being able to see the Avatar when they're older allows for some more interesting topics to hit on. And so I think being able to see Aang older was great for me, which I think was one of the parts where like you was able to explore things in Korra a little bit more. And I enjoyed Korra. I just watched it recently in the last couple of years for the first time. And yeah, I think I enjoy the movie. I'm not gonna spoil too much of Avatar Aang, other than it was nice, and I think it goes to show also that just bending in animation is. I don't know if live action is gonna be the topic, which is weird because you have seen some amazing live action things. I think about like the fighting in Infinity War, particularly with like Thanos and Doctor Strange, like that kind of feels like it can lean into those type of special effects to show bending, but I don't know if a Netflix show is gonna have that kind of budget. It's like what a Marvel movie may have, right? So I don't know if Netflix is ever gonna be able to give it up to, produce it up to that level. And while we were staying on movies, I think, of course, I went to go see the Odyssey this week as well. My thoughts about the Odyssey are definitely on Twitter, but I would kind of go through my main thoughts with y'all on how I felt about the Odyssey. It was a great film. It looked incredible. It had some really solid performances. I think the directing was great, and for a long film, it had really good pacing and did a great job about moving through the story and moving from different scenes and characters. I think Matt Damon did fine. Anne Hathaway was amazing to me. Excuse me. Lupita was amazing to me. I always think John Bernthal kind of like commands whatever screen he's on. And then John Leguizamo, I don't know if I'm saying his name right. I think he was like stand out to me. And so, yeah, I think there was some meh acting performances in it. I don't think Zendaya and Charlize had much to do. They didn't do much, but I also don't think they had much to do, so I don't blame them. I just don't. It didn't seem like it was in the script for their characters to have much to do. And I think maybe, when you see Zendaya and when you see Charlize, you think, oh, I'm going to get something from these characters, but those characters don't give nothing. So maybe it would have been better if we had some lesser known people in there. I think I was shocked because, my joke is Christopher Nolan, him and Shonda Rhimes, they gonna employ the same people and all this stuff. And I feel like I didn't see the normal Christopher Nolan, actors in this show, so in this movie. So I'm not sure if he was trying to switch it up some, but that man like to repeat some people. But he didn't really repeat them in here. Maybe it's because the story's so different than some of his other stuff. I didn't like Robert Pattinson's character, so I think I am trying to reassess if that's changing the way I feel about his performance. But I just don't feel like it was anything. I think he had a lot more screen time than Zendaya and Charlize, but I don't think it gave anything. Because the character was just so uninteresting, And then, just for video purposes, I'm not going to even get into the Tom of it all, but yeah, might be time to have a conversation. But of course, definitely feel like they're going to rack up some nominations. Best Picture, Director, and hopefully supporting for Anne and John. And Matt probably get a for acting as well, so we'll see. It's not a film I have to watch again though. Looked incredible, but not a film I have to watch again. Meanwhile, the other thing I watched in the last week that I would very much probably at some point watch again because it evoked all the emotions in me. It evoked laughter, it evoked tears, like Project Hail Mary. One of my top movies of the year by far. It was incredible. It was incredible. I just think I never read a book or anything like that, so all of this was new to me, but even just the way in which Grace, as the story was laying out and you learning about how Grace even ended up there, because the first thing I'm thinking is I'm like, why is there not like a mission briefing folder like right beside my thing when I wake up? Like I should know why I'm here. If this was gonna mess with my memory, I need to know why I was here. But the reason he didn't know is because unlike everybody else that was on there that died, the other two people that was on it, they had been planning to be there the whole time. Grace got drugged to be there. Like, I cannot imagine going on what is a Hail Mary of a mission and being forced to go against my will. Not even something that I decide on my own. I want to take this risk. But to get drugged and put in an induced coma to go on this trip and then to wake up in the middle of fucking space. Light years away. Light years away. And you're not even an astronaut. Like, I just do not understand. I don't understand, man. I don't understand. I couldn't have done that. I could not have done that. And him and Rocky, oh my God. You talking about had a man crying? I was crying watching this movie with some of those moments. Crying. Oh my goodness. When Grace realized what's happened to the ships and he went back to get Rocky and he was tapping on that window and then Rocky came and just put his head to that window. My God. Y'all, that movie is phenomenal and I'm sorry. I didn't even put no spoiler warning here or anything before, so Project Hail Mary was one of my favorite movies of the last few years. Period. Yeah. It was incredible. It was an incredible film. Incredible film. I think I'm gonna end this episode here. I did go watch Is God Is back in May. That was a great film too. It would probably be another favorite of mine this year. It's not above Project Hail Mary, but it was a pretty good film. And I mean, anything with Sterling in it, Janelle Monáe, like, it's gonna be a great film. The other characters, especially the two young women, and I'm sorry I don't know their names, they did amazing. It's an amazing story. Eric Alexander, her role, amazing story. So if you have not watched Is God Is, I would suggest that. I think, just to wrap up this episode, I encourage you to watch Project Hail Mary if you have not. And then I encourage you to watch Is God Is. And I'm going to kind of talk about I think I'm going to finish with kind of talking about what I hope to do with Todd Talks moving forward. I think I want to get to the place where I can do some more content consistently. It might not happen right away because I'm about to go into some of my biggest weeks at work, honestly. So it might not happen right away, but I'm thinking of maybe rewatching some shows and doing like a weekly recap of like 1 or 2 episodes a week. I'm trying to decide what I want to do. I'm trying to hold off to till we get an announcement about P-Valley so that I can do a rewatch of P-Valley, because it has been 4 years. So it's like, I don't remember nothing, but I know I'm ready for the pink to come back. So yeah, I'm gonna rewatch it whenever they kind of give us the date, And then, you know, Queen Sugar is one of my favorite shows. I've been thinking about rewatching that because it's 2026 now. That means it's been off air for 4 years. I have not rewatched it in that time. So that's something I'll be interested in doing. Even though I just rewatched Insecure like 2024, I think just seeing each of them start their podcast and announcing their tour, making me want to like revisit that too. So I don't know, but yeah, I think maybe I'll do a wrap up of House of Dragon once the season ends. Maybe X-Men 97 once the season ends. But yeah, that's kind of where we're leading right now. Would love to hear what you all want to hear. I think, I think last time I started trying to do some questions and all of that, so we'll throw those back. But yeah, this is Tall Talks. We're back. Not perfect yet. Maybe not how we're gonna be. This might not be how it looks in the end, but we're back and we're gonna try to make some things shake. Yeah, that's all I got. Thank y'all and stay tuned.